What was the biggest struggle that you had before you joined this journey with us?
Oh, look, I mean, I really think I'd never had an accountability, someone to actually say, pass over your health to us and let us manage it and remind you what to do, when to do it. It's a bit like I was doing all my do it yourself techniques and, I did my own this and my own that. And I was learning from trial and error rather than letting people who've been doing it for a while tell me, hey, you need to do this. This is actually the way it works. I'm doing as much as I can, but I do realize if I followed you 100%, my results would be improved dramatically. But with me only taking up what I do take, which is probably 75 to 80%, yeah, the results will reflect it. So I just need to take on fully what you guys are saying.
75 to 80% still got you 10 kilos down, which is a pretty big win in my book.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like I was saying when you first jumped on the call, man, you didn't even recognize you. You look like a new person. So who's this guy? Someone's broken into Art's house. But seriously though, you look so much younger. It's awesome. Like you look so much different in a good way because I remember when we, that very first phone call we had, right? You're really reluctant about taking on this journey. I remember I might have been a little bit harsh. I said, "Do you want to make the change or not?" And I think you said respectfully, "No, I don't think I'm ready." And then about 3 days later, you sent me an email. You said, "You know what? Let's do it." And here we are.
I remember, yeah, we're talking and I was umming and ahhing that you're gonna do nothing. So, I said, that's it. I'm not gonna do it. I just need to do it. And that's what I decided. I said, fuck it. Yeah. So it was more like putting myself and saying, I really need to do this. If you're telling me you're looking after my health and I'm not looking after my health, there's something wrong here. There's something really wrong. What's Shannon's benefit in my health? I thought, I love this accountability stuff. We used to call and just Sunny and yourself and used to give us a hiding and say, hey, what the fuck are you doing? And I'm like, okay, all right, all right, yeah, I understand. And it slowly got into the psyche. And I feel completely different to when I started on the 18th of November last year, which is in about 2 weeks' time.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, you're literally like a brand new person. Like, your confidence seems through the roof. You seem happier. And like you said, you only followed the program 75, 80%. And we don't ask anybody to follow it 100% because it's impossible. We're not robots at the end of the day. There's going to be days where you're going to mess up. There's going to be days where you skip a gym session. When people, they're too harsh on themselves, they have a really bad day and think, oh, well, diet's over now. And they just go back to their old habits and end up on that hamster wheel for the rest of their life. So I'm glad that we got you off that hamster wheel. And I'm glad that, yes, losing that 10 kgs is good. And we do have some more to go. But the biggest summation has been with your mental, that side of things.
Absolutely. There's a great saying, and I love it. And it says, the teacher comes when the student is ready. And the thing is, there's a lot of teachers teaching everybody, but the students aren't there to learn it. You're not ready to learn it because you're you're not in that receive mode. And I think I was in the receive mode. I chatted to you guys, and I think you guys hit the nail on the head every now and again when I needed a pep talk.
And making smarter choices and you're keeping it aligned, you know that every decision you make affects you in the future. It's way better to have that short term sacrifice to enjoy better health, better performance, better, mental health tomorrow.
Absolutely. It's so look, if there's a will, there's a way. And that's what I'm discovering. If there's a will, there's a way. If there's no will, there's no way. Like now, you won't believe it. I'm actually eager to go for a walk. I'm eager to do my 8,000 steps. I'm looking forward to it. I'm choosing what I want to do rather than the event choosing me what to do.
Yeah. It sounds like that's your new identity now. Whereas before we ever worked together, you probably never would have gone for that walk if you didn't feel like it. But now the version of yourself you become addicted to that feeling of staying fit and healthy, right? So it becomes more like a habit. So you don't even need to really think about it anymore. You just go.
It's like respecting myself, I think. That's what I've learned, to respect myself and say, hey, man, you want to say hello to this guy? You go say hello to this guy. it means a lot to you. And the guy appreciated it. He gave me a hug and he goes to me, "I really appreciate you, mate, coming over to see me."
That's awesome. Would you say that your confidence levels have increased since you lost that weight and you're feeling better and you're more active now compared to what you used to be?
Absolutely. There's a thing that we learned, and it says that if you've got a good feeling and a good emotion and a good energy, that energy will go to a cellular level and your cells will be happy and energetic. Now, it's actually addictive.
You become addicted to the results and the feeling that you get afterwards. For everyone listening, Darren is your personal coach you've been working with one-on-one under Icarus. So do you find having Darren, because you're doing the weekly phone calls, sometimes you might skip a week and do it fortnightly, depending on your schedule, right? But do you feel like having that support and that accountability and having Darren there talk to you every week has been a massive help?
Oh, look, Darren is really supportive. I do find that he talks to me, it feels like at my level. And that's probably the most important. He's not just doing a chore or a job to me. He's actually talking to me and he remembers what I've said. And therefore, he caters his advice to what I'm going through. And I'm going to be very open here. Probably haven't said this before, but there was a time where my son was in a psychiatric ward and he was there for a good 2.5 months. And I had Darren calling me once a week, and I'd walk out of my son's ward and go speak to Darren. And I really appreciated him virtually listening to me. And he says, "Mate, just just go for a walk. Just do something nice and simple, and you're doing well. You're keeping up. Your family's, And I was really, really appreciative. I probably haven't. I think I've thanked him many times, but you've just reminded me now that when he helped me through that time where he goes, "Mate, don't worry about it. Don't worry about the exercise. I would just call you again. Do you want me to call you next week?" And I would always say, "Yes, I'd love." And I was looking forward to chatting to Darren because seeing my son going through a hard time, he's got through it now and he's back home and 100 times better. But no, Darren was very, what's the word? He sort of connected with me rather than being my coach. He was my brother.
I didn't even know that about your son, by the way. And I appreciate you sharing that. I'm glad that he's doing better now as well. And having Darren there to support you probably helped a lot as well with your mental health by the sounds of it. So, everything's not physical. It's not about, yes, everyone who joins our program want to lose weight, build muscle. But at the end of the day, what we're really trying to do is build that new version of yourself, that new version that refuses to ever go back to your old self and who is that new high performer and has that performance in health that matches your performance at work and in business. And it sounds like you're well on the path to doing that. And respect. I'm proud of you, man. You've done really well. I remember one time there was a time where I remember you called me and said you wanted to quit the program. And I called you up. I said, just give it one more month. And I'm so glad that you stayed on because look how far we've come since that day. And that wasn't that long ago either. That was maybe 6 months ago.
It was. And I remember I opened up to Darren. He sort of connected with me as well. I've got a good relationship with Darren and he respects me and I respect him and I respect yourself as well for starting us with this whole program. No, it's a mutual respect, but it's not a blind, what I call a blind respect where, oh, you're a bloke, I'm a bloke, we're just going to like each other. No, no, no. I think you coined a phrase when I first met you and you said, Arthur, we don't just take a credit card and a pulse from members. we do more. And I was umming and ahhing thinking, what does he mean by that? What does he mean by that? But it all makes sense now.
Yeah, I remember that exact conversation. I said, we don't take anyone with a credit card and a pulse into our program. We only let people
Correct.
in who I am 100% certain that we can actually help. That's why we don't let 200 people in every month. We easily could if we wanted to, but I want to keep the quality high. I want to make sure that everyone coming in the program, we build that relationship with. You're not just another number. We're really going to get to know you on a deep level, know what motivates you, know what your biggest struggles, your biggest everything about you. That way we can work together to build that new version of yourself. And that's definitely what we've done. But just to kind of rewind a bit, before we ever started working together, what have you tried in the past to drop the weight and get the confidence and the mental side of things on point as well?
Well, I think like most men, we try to pick a special event that's coming up, a holiday or a wedding or something, and you use that as a motivating device. But as you can imagine, after a while, it just falls off. So my focus, I mean, I've joined lots of gyms throughout my life, had a homemade gym at home. I used to jog, but my knees now just make so much noise that I can't fathom the run. But I've enjoyed my cycling. I've picked up cycling, which I do every Sunday. I've been doing it since the start of the year, and then finish off with a dip in the Port Phillip Bay in Melbourne. What I did in the past, yeah, tried lots of stuff. But like I said, it was, I didn't have the will to chase what I wanted. I was just allowing everything just to come to me and thinking like, all right, I'll eat this bad thing and I'll do this. But now I'm actually looking and thinking, I'm seeing results. I've got in my pants that by the way, I don't know if I mentioned this. I've actually got my pants since I was about 20. I've still got all my jeans. I haven't thrown them away. And I'm slowly going backwards in my wardrobe and picking up clothes that I haven't worn for 15 years. And it's a great
How
feeling.
good.
Yeah, it's a great feeling. And with maybe another 10 kilos, I'd like to be around 85. That would be just perfect. That would be perfect. So you're aiming for 90 for December, which is doable, but I have to make this will my way. That's the trick.
You never really had that support or accountability. You're always trying to figure everything out by yourself, like going on Google, using apps and things like that. But it sounds like, well, I know you never actually had that personalized approach to your specific goals with the context of your lifestyle. That's the biggest difference.
You're not feeling good about yourself and you're not doing anything about it. And then you sort of think, I need to do something to change. Nothing's going to change unless I change. So therefore, I made a conscious decision to give up alcohol in November. And that made a huge difference in my mindset and thinking. But once again, if only we could flick a switch and change our mindset takes a long time. So it's taken me at least 6 to 8 months to change the way I think about exercise. But if you've been doing something for 50 years or 60 years, it's hard to change overnight. And if you change overnight, are you really the same person? You'd be living another life. While now, because I've done it gradually, I see my efforts that I put in through the program, and I can turn back and say, "Serious man, I used to do that in the past." I think one of the most things that come to mind was I'd wake up twice during the night. I'd wake up tired continually, and now I wake up 6 a.m. and I'm like, "What the hell? My body's changed completely." Yeah, so I've actually changed the way. I mean, I used to hate waking up at 2 a.m. to go to the toilet and then going back to bed. And now that's gone. But never happens.
So that by default would be increasing your sleep quality because you're not waking up throughout the night. And that will be giving you more energy throughout the day because you're not as tired. And when you're less tired, it's easier to have more willpower to do the exercise and to stick to the diet. Because when you're having terrible sleep, you wake up cranky, you're low on energy. The first thing that goes out the window is usually the diet and exercise that day. I know that I can definitely be like that if I've had a bad night's sleep. That's why we're so heavy on improving the sleep quality because it's one of the most important parts of the transformation, especially when it comes to fat loss.
Huh.
What was the favorite part of the experience so far?
I think the accountability where someone was looking after my health, even though I didn't give a shit about it. I'm thinking, but why are these people so concerned as to if I'm losing weight and drinking water? I thought to myself, I couldn't comprehend that. I was like, I can lie. I can lie and say that I've drunk 5 liters, but who am I lying to? I'm lying to myself. And I thought, no, these guys are teaching me to respect myself. So subconsciously, I don't know if it's intentionally, Shannon, but you're teaching us to to show self-worth. And that's what I've discovered, that I'm actually giving more self-worth to what I'm doing. While in the past, it was like, yeah, so I love the accountability talks. I also love those singles messages where you put a little thing on WhatsApp or something about discipline or persistence or progress and just little things. And some of those actually struck a chord with me because it just happened to be in that stage in my life where I just needed a little pep. I just needed a little tap on the shoulder just to keep the ball rolling. You know, that's all you need
Yep.
sometimes. And I think I mentioned this to when we first started. I said, I don't need daily intervention. I just need someone just to tap me every now and again and just keep the ball rolling. And that's what you guys did.
Yeah. Keep you on the right track and make sure you don't stray off too far off the path for too long, because one bad day can turn into a bad month very easily. So it's important to make sure that one bad day stays at one bad day. The next day we get back on the wagon and we just get back to work, and don't feel too guilty about it. Don't punish yourself for it, because you're way better off doing that than punishing yourself and then falling off the wagon every 3 days or every week or whatever it is and never actually losing the weight. If you could go back in time and you could talk to the Art that was sitting on the fence, not sure if he wanted to make the change or if he could make a change, what would you tell that version of yourself right now?
If you're not changing, you're not improving. And I was just stagnant. I was just stagnant. Why was I stagnant? I don't know. It was just that part of my life period where was I was thinking to myself, I can change my external environment, get a new job, meet someone new, but I still have to live with myself. So I thought, let me improve the relationship with myself. And the relationship with myself includes my physical relationship with myself, to be able to look in the mirror and say, hey, man, like now I look in the mirror and say, hey, man, I'm heading on the path. I'm not there yet. I'm heading on the path. While before, I'd look at myself and say, oh, man, you're a fucking blimp. And I was just thinking to myself, yeah, negative thoughts. And like you said before, it's to not get onto that negative mindset and keep on going negative. And I found the accountability calls and those little messages coming in very helpful.
Let's say you never started this journey or you kept trying to do what you were doing before we started. Where do you feel like you'd be at right now?
Look, there's no way of saying, I mean, a regret, I don't have regrets. The thing is, life is a journey and I can't go backwards and say what would have happened. Who knows? Maybe I would have been dead. I don't know. I wasn't going in a great direction. And by the way, I forgot to mention to you, I had my blood tests recently and they're all flying colors. And I was like, back in those days, I was just approaching pre-diabetic status. So now my doc said to me, man, everything is A-OK because I've done 80 to 85%, like we said, of the right things. And physically I've changed, but also physiologically inside, my physiology's changed as well. And that's why my sleep's better. I'm not as tired. I've got a lot of endurance. And yeah, it was funny tonight. Two chicks were trying to hit on me and calling me young. And I was thinking, how old are you? 38. I said, shit, I'm back in 20 years older than you.
What would you say to somebody else who's maybe sitting on the fence like you were? Maybe they have a bit of self-doubt. They're not sure if this will work for them. Like, what would you say to that person?
I think we as men, we have to start liking ourselves and being nice to ourselves, giving ourselves the opportunity to be a better version and not just saying, well, this is what it is. You know, this is what it is. Yeah, you go to the pub, you drink your beers, and you try to do whatever you're going to do. The reality of it all is the more you look after yourself and the more you focus on your well-being and physicality, because the physicality is the vessel that carries your entity. And I don't want to get too detailed, but yeah, it's more about respecting ourselves. That's what I'm saying. And I would say to myself back then, I'd say, hey man, like yourself and like yourself being better. try your best to be better. And that's what the program allows you to do.
It can feel a bit weird sometimes or uncomfortable to ask for help, especially when we feel like, oh, I can figure it out on my own, which most people probably can. But having that help, having that support, having that personalization just makes the process so much easier and so much faster. It's like having a mentor who's been where you have been or actually helped other people get to where you want to be. They're just going to make the process a lot smoother, a lot easier. And so you don't have to do any of the guesswork anymore. Just follow the process and you're going to reach your goals. Just a matter of when, not a matter of if. Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Tiger Woods, Cristiano Ronaldo, all of these guys are the very top of their game when they were in their prime. Every single one of them had multiple coaches working on multiple aspects of their game. It's no different for men in business as well. You have an accountant, you have a lawyer, you have everybody looking after all these different aspects, but who's looking after your health? If your health isn't on point, it's the most important thing because it's going to bleed into every other single aspect of your life. So that's the first thing that us as men, we should be looking to optimize.
It reminds me of what Arnold Schwarzenegger said at one of his talks. He said he hates the word self-made millionaire. And we can turn that around and say self-made physical specimen. He says, no one's self-made. You need someone. And he had his mate, which I forgot his name, the short Italian guy. Forgot his name, where they used to work out together. We both worked together. We both pushed each other. We both did this. There's no such a thing as a self-made millionaire or self-made. Because there's a whole team of people around you. But we, as men, have got this ego that I'm gonna train in secret and come out and show everybody my body. It ain't gonna work unless we use something like this. I had someone just recently say to me, "You've lost some weight." I said, "Yeah, I've lost 10, 11 kilos." I was saying, "What did you do?" And I mentioned the course to them. But like I said, if the student's not ready, the teacher can't talk to them. So no one accepts what I say to them because they're not ready to receive it. And that's a
Yeah.
personal thing that we all have to do. We have to be ready to receive the information. You can go black and blue in the face, but if we're not ready to receive it, when Sonny and you used to call me up and say, "But Arthur, what the fuck are you doing?" I'm like, "The hell? What the hell?" I was a bit surprised. But it was accountability.
Yeah. It's not information that we're selling. We're selling transformation. So information's there. You can easily get the information on Google and ChatGPT. But if it was that easy, everybody will be walking around looking like Arnold Schwarzenegger. But the fact is, it's a mental thing way more than an information thing. When you step into that new mindset, the new version of yourself, one that refuses to go back to where you started, that's the big shift. And that's how you continue the progress because motivation's bullshit. Motivation, it's there when everything's going good, right? Discipline and support is what gets the needle moving in the long term. And that's what you've built
Absolutely.
because if you didn't have that discipline, you wouldn't have dropped that 10 kgs. You renewed for another extension. So it just goes to show that what we do works. We take it very seriously. And most of the clients who work with, they end up re-signing. I've got guys who've been on the program working with me for over 4 years. And when you have that support and accountability, it's really another level.
And I think I have to commend you for doing the 45-day challenge because that's sort of thrown another level of excitement, I might say, of commitment. And it's actually reinforced the original program. So now I'm thinking to myself, oh, shivers, once the 45 days are over, I really have to make sure that I'm using that app correctly, I thought. So it's worked both ways.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been really cool, that 45-day challenge. It's brought that really cool vibe, right? It's like that kind of building that community kind of vibe where you see everybody else posting what they did that day, what workouts they did and things like that. And it makes you think, shit. And it motivates me, myself. I'll work a 16-hour day. Last thing I feel like doing is going to the gym. But I think, shit, I don't want to have to untick every box and start from day one again. and I don't want to let everybody down. So I have to go no matter how much I don't want to go. And you're going to change your body if you keep that mindset up. So, yeah, I'm loving that 45-day challenge. We're going to be doing a lot more things like that in the future and doing a lot more community stuff as well. So, yeah, really exciting times. The program's always evolving, it's always going to get better. I'm always bringing in new people to help improve the client journey. So, yeah, man, we've already got you to Arthur version 2.0. So, 12 months from now, you'll be Arthur version 3.0, even to the next level,
Really.
physically, mentally. I'm looking forward to helping you on that journey, brother. So, respect. I'm proud of you. Darren's proud of you. And the scariest part, as you might agree, is just getting started. Once you're actually in the program, you're in the routine. That's the easy part because now you're already in. You already have that support. But just getting started, taking that first leap of faith, that can be the scariest and the hardest part. But it's the most exciting part as well because once you're in, like I'm never going to be that version of myself ever again. Today is day one when I start my new chapter and move forward in every metric of life.
Yes, absolutely. It's been a good journey. The optimum word being journey, which is a continual path.